Well, good morning again, our CHAMP students. I am Deputy Smith coming again with another presentation along with Deputy Edwards and Deputy Gregg on this morning as we would present another CHAMPS course. Today we're talking about leaders and followers, and as such we want to make sure that you are familiar with leaders and followers, because we're promoting and pushing you to be great leaders and followers. What do you know about leaders and followers? There have been some great contributions that have been added in this presentation so that you can again see examples of great leaders and followers, and those leaders and followers we can emulate after. As we look to what is a leader, we find that a leader is someone who guides or directs. A leader is someone who guides or directs. A good leader is someone who sets a positive example. So we have two great points right there. And then here's the third point. Examples of leaders are president, parents, and teachers. So going back to point number one, a good leader is someone who guides and directs. We are presenting this because we want you to be that kind of leader, one who guides and directs in a positive way. As you would understand that we cannot lead and we cannot guide in negative ways, so we're pushing to direct and guide in positive ways, and we're pushing this lesson so that you can be that great guide or director. A good leader is someone who sets positive example. As we talked on previous slides about positive examples, you want to make sure that you're the student that's always doing positive things, positive role model, making good decisions, and healthy choices, being the example of a good leader in your class for the teacher and at home for your parents, because it's the teacher and the parents who's also providing good positive role model, as well as being positive in your community. All right. And we want to make sure that you are well ahead of the game by doing some positive things. Examples of a good leader, such as the president, parents, and teachers. And these are individuals that you can again look to as examples. Now here are some traits of a good leader. We're talking about honesty. As you notice, we have several different pictures up here, and maybe you can tell me who they are. You're sitting at home and you're viewing, and you can probably already tell me who most of these guys are, if not all of these guys, but I got to believe that they're honest. Abraham Lincoln. All right, that's the first picture, and we see him, Abraham Lincoln. Who is this guy? This guy is Martin Luther King, one of another great example that we would find. President Kennedy, he's honest. How about this word? He's ethical. These guys are ethical. Let's look at this word. Mortal. Then we're talking about loyalty, morals. They have great morals. Loyal. They are very loyal. Integrity. That's a word that pops up. Integrity, and integral, and responsible. Nelson Mandela. That's who we're talking about right here at the lower bottom of this picture. Gandhi. Yeah, we're talking about Gandhi. All of these, qualities and traits of a good leader. And then there, Mother Teresa. All right. So we have some great, examples of honesty, ethical, moral, loyal, integral, responsible individuals. And these are examples of good leaders. How about in your home? Mom, dad, aunt, uncle, brother, sister, do they have these type of characteristics and traits that they, that you can see value in them? Our CHAMPS instructor, Deputy Gregg, Deputy Edwards, Deputy Smith. We're talking about your school teachers, your principals, police officers that you may know other than, the CHAMPS instructors. Do they present good moral, integral leadership? And these are traits of good leaders. And there may be movie stars. We're talking about pastors and preachers. We're talking about men and women, who have presented, good character and good leadership, past presidents other than President Kennedy, who's up here, or Mandela, who's up here. So, you have to be honest. All right. And that's one of the things that we look to. And you see the other list of things. But honesty is always the first one. You got to be honest with yourself, young people. And if you're going to make a successful life, you have to be honest. And very much what you don't see up there is transparent. Okay. So transparency is another one. Good leaders. Let's talk about good leaders. And you can see Mama Duck over there, leading baby ducklings over there. And that's a good picture of what a good leader is supposed to look like. Having the little small ducklings follow behind in a group where she can keep up with them. And then this big picture reads leadership. What is leadership to you? Do you know the definition of leadership? And if you do not know the definition of leadership, well, it's a good time in your downtime to go and look up this word leadership and to discover what leadership is to you. Are you an example of a good leader? I hope that you are an example of a good leader in your home and you're displaying good character, that mom and dad are not, having to always fuss at you or, tell you multiple times to clean your room, to do your homework, to wash the dishes, take out the trash. Good leaders would just jump up and get it done without, ever having to be asked about those things, taking care, of responsibility. And I think we saw that in the last slide. So you have to be responsible, young people, doing good in school and not getting in trouble. Those getting in trouble is always a negative consequence, but for a good leader, they're always looking for ways to do more positive things in life. So let's talk about a good leader. A good leader cares about those they are leading. Now, you may say, well, I'm just 11, 12 years old. Well, that's where it really starts at your age, 11 and 12. Now you're leading in the 5th grade, you're on the way to the 6th grade, and you're going to continue to matriculate to 7th, 8th, 9th, and even graduating off to college. But while you're doing all of those great things, you want to make sure that you care about those who are following you, and they're following you in positive ways. As we said in earlier slides, we're talking about being the president of the club, or a beta, president, or, spelling bee president, or something great like that, and so you have to just know that, in order to be a good leader, you have to care about those that you are leading. Here's another one. Good leaders only ask others to do things that he or she would do themselves. And if you're not going to do it, why expect someone else to do it? A good leader will always, be the example and the one that stands out and above, ensuring that the job will get done. So that's the kind of responsibility a leader must possess. Now, again, we're talking about positive leadership. All right. And I'm sure positive leadership, the difference between positive leadership and negative leadership. So I want you to, think about it, right? Some positive leadership, task down versus negative leadership, and compare the two. And I believe that you should always come up with more positives than negatives. So that's a good homework assignment for you to do right there in the comforts of your home while you got a little bit of downtime. So what's another one? Good leaders knows their limitations, and they know the limitation of others. Yeah, we absolutely should know how much one could actually take. All right. And we don't want to dump everything on their plate. We must share. All right. Share the responsibility. And so you want to take a good look at that and make sure that you're able to do it. All right. So let's look at some more traits of a good leader. Step number 1, consider themselves a part of the team. All right. When you're in class and you have homework assignments, or homework assignments that you can share, and you've been tasked to couple up with a group of individuals to get the job done. Do you consider them a part of the team and make them essential with you as a part of the team? I hope so. I hope that you are making them a very strong part of the team, even, if they're doing minimum work, and there's always some who are stronger than the other. So we have to consider their strengths. All right. Step number 2, do not blame others for their mistakes. All right. There's no need of finger pointing. When it comes down to good leadership, we must understand that not everybody has all of the strengths like you or necessary to get the job done. However, ladies and gentlemen, we must not take on the blame game. And if we're talking about getting an assignment done, then that means that we have to work cohesively to get it done as good leaders and not blame the one who is a little weaker. So, don't talk about them. Don't blame them. Don't blast them out to other, young people of your peers. Accept what they're able to do and continue to help to improve those that may not be as fast, or those of them that may have some difficulties somewhere along the way. But never, ever blame others for their mistakes. All right. Step number 3, know how to get the best from followers. All right. So at this point, you got to know how to talk. All right. As good leaders, you got to know how to talk and make sure that during your conversation, you're getting out all of the key points that is necessary to get out to prove that you are capable of being that good leader, and to prove that those of them that are following you are capable of being good followers. So 3 easy steps, and you can work on this while you're at home. We're sharing these presentations with you because we want you to continue to grow and to learn and to develop how to be good, as you are on the way to the 6th and the 7th and the 8th grade. These are going to be very, very necessary, even as you get into college and, you're taking on, new adventures and endeavors in life. Okay. So a good leader. All right. Let's take a look at it. Knows where he or she is going and how they're going to get there. All right. Do you know where you're going, and do you know how you're going to get there? Now, when we were in class and we had you guys, there in class, we were asking questions like, what are you wanting to be when you get out of, high school, or what do you want to be when you get out of college? And some of you guys said, oh, I want to be, a lawyer. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a police officer. I want to be, an NFL player or NBA player. Okay. And that's great. All of those are great. Some says, I want to be a manager, fashion designer. And I remember this little boy who said, I want to be a movie star. As a matter of fact, he asked if he can come up and do a few scenes. And I really enjoyed the fact that he had an idea of what he would like to do after high school or college. Good leaders always know where they are going. So do you know where you're going, as a leader, and all of those different professions that I've just named, a business owner, a cosmetologist, a dental assistant, or even a dentist, you got to know where you're going. And then you got to make those necessary efforts to ensure success as to where you're going. Okay. Now, the slide previously, talks about the 3 steps. All right. One of those 3 steps was you can't blame others for your inconsistencies. So that means that you got to work really, really hard to make sure that you know for sure that where you're going and how you're going to get there requires you to be not only a good leader, but to be a hard worker in order to get there. Okay. So that means that those negative traits cannot show up. All right. Wanting to go and do illegal or wrong things cannot show up. You got to make sure that you are still practicing choices and consequences. All right. And remember, good choices, will produce good consequence. poor choices is going to produce poor consequences. All right. You are a good leader. I still value, the fact that you are champions and you're going to be great in any endeavor that you would engage in. All right. So here's some mistaken traits for good leaders. All right. Mistaken traits for good leaders. All right. There's that first one. All right. Bossiness. And if this is you, you're just going to have to do some readjustment, bossiness. All right. Can we do some readjustment? Yeah, we can do some readjustment. And we make sure that, along with the, being the boss, you got to learn how to be the follower. All right. So every good leader is a good follower, and every good follower is a good leader. And you have those characters to become a good leader and follower. All right. This next one, number 2 point, pettiness. You'll never be a great leader if pettiness, is a part of your character. All right. You gotta get that out of your system. Pettiness. What is bossiness? What is pettiness? Just complaining about every single thing, things that have to do with you and things that don't have to do with you. And they may be great things. They may be small things. Some things, we should not give the time of day for. Young people, pettiness, what somebody else did and how they're doing it. You don't have time for that. You need to be, concentrating on how to be successful in your endeavors. All right. Arrogance. That's a big one right there. And if you by some chance don't know what bossiness is or pettiness is or arrogance is, Deputy Edwards did in her video presentation. She told them to go back and find out and do, some research and homework. I'm going to share the same sentiments. If you don't know what any one of these words are, go back, do some research on it, find out what these mean, and make sure you're comparing to make sure that you're none of these things. All right. Bossy, petty, and certainly not arrogant. All right. These are bad traits for leaders. So you want to make sure that you know the difference. All right. Now, book smart. Okay. It can be a little bit confusing when we get to this one, but book smart, I like book smart, but you also have to have common sense along with the book smart. All right. Common sense and book smart go hand in hand. You got to know how to disseminate between the two. Physical strength. Don't always apply just your physical strength. You got to use your mind too. All right. A lot of times, and more times than others, you're using your mind over matter. Okay. So physical strength is not always the best way. You can't beat everybody up or want to fight everybody, to be, the leader. You got to take time out to use your mind as well as your physical strength. A Mr. or Mrs. Know-it-all. All right. You may know some people like that. I hope you're not one of those Mr. or Mrs. Know-it-all. You know everything. You got the answer, to every question, and you've experienced every walk of life. Nobody has all of the answers. That's why we encourage you to go back and do research, so that if you don't know the answers, then you can obtain an answer. But certainly nobody knows it all, and nobody has done it all, and nobody has been everywhere, in every part of the world. So don't pretend that you know it all and you've been everywhere, and you got all, the knowledge of everything that comes up. There are many different conversations that you're going to hear about, and some of those conversations are going to be conversations in which you can learn and help to develop. There are going to be some conversations that you're just going to have to cut off and walk away from. However, never assume that you know everything. A good leader never assumes that he or she knows everything. Okay? And then that last one is wealthy. Wealthy, okay. I like this in 2 forms, all right? When it comes down to wealthy, don't be arrogant about it. But when it comes down to wealthy, okay, you've done well. You've made your mark in life, and you've worked hard, and, you did all that you needed to do to become wealthy. But never mistaken wealthy with arrogance, and never connect it with pettiness and so on and so forth, okay? As you can see, all these pictures, it kind of portrays, some mistaken traits of a good leader, all right? Boisterous and so on, and, argumentative are just a few extra ones that you can add, all right? Definition of a follower: someone who is willing to follow the beliefs, teachings, and instructions of another, okay? And you'll find a whole lot, especially in my other profession as a pastor. I'm not only a leader, but I'm a follower. So there are times when other leaders have to impart and share their wisdom. I'm willing to follow their beliefs, their teachings, and their instructions, if it lines up with my beliefs of the teachings, and instructions that they give. So it's okay to be a leader, and it's okay to be a follower, and it's okay to be both a leader and a follower, just as long as it is a positive leading and a positive following, okay? What makes a good follower? Here's some answers to that. Listen and follow direction. That makes a good follower. So just in case you are, following at this point, remember at some point you're going to be a leader. So we have to learn how to follow in order to be a leader, all right? Respect the leader. And who are some of the leaders that we're following? Again, we're talking about moms and dads, grandmothers and grandfathers, aunts and uncles, teachers, police. We're talking about firemen. We're talking about president. We're talking about some great state senators, and quite a few leaders that we will find in the world. Now they must share the same sentiments that you share. Respect the leader. Ask questions when necessary. It's okay to ask questions. And remember, no question is a dumb or silly question. All questions are good questions, so that you can get understanding and clarity. Willing to help others. All right? You got to be willing as a leader and a follower. But in this instance, we're talking about followers. A good follower will be, willing to help others. Good team player. All right? I like that one right there. Whether you are a leader or follower, in this case, we're talking about followers, you must be a good team player, okay? It doesn't mean that you always have to agree, all right? You can agree to disagree, but don't be so combative in your agreeing to disagree that you can't play along with the other team members. So be a good team player when it comes down to it, because the objective is to get the job done. Okay, that's the objective. So you got a homework assignment, and the teacher has paired you with 4 or 5 other students, and there may be a student who may have fit one of those, traits we talked about, arrogant or petty, boisterous, whatever the case may be. You still have to work with them through all of that pettiness and arrogance and so on and so forth to get the job done. Okay, so you have an assignment that you must complete. You want to make sure that you know how to work with those individuals in order to get it done. That makes you a good team player, all right? And loyal to your leader, all right? That's a huge one, and especially, and I believe it's a huge one in just about every profession. There has to be a sense of loyalty, just as there is a sense of loyalty to your parents and others whom you look up to, all right, and you depend on, all right? So that makes a good follower. Seek to become a good leader. Now that you know all of these good following traits, your job now is seek to become a good leader. Can I become a good leader? Yeah, you can become a good leader. You've learned and you've developed, and you've gained some wisdom and all kinds of good stuff. And you know what it takes to be a good leader. All right, go for it. All right, I'm going to tell you again, go for it. Make the best leader you can make. Just go for it. All right. We always need good leaders in the world. All right, the difference in leadership. All right, the leader in me. What is the leader in you? The leader in me. Here's age group, experience, various due to the age of the leader. Social group, leader's background, social economics, and race. Peer group pressure. The leader peer will influence decision. And we talked about this on yesterday, and you'll see that video as well. Peer pressure. You know, we're always talking about positive peer pressure versus negative peer pressure, but the leader's peer will influence decision, and you got to know how to stand through that. So that's the difference in leaders, okay? Treat others the way you would like to be treated, all right? Now, here are some very good quotes that we would find from various leaders. And in this case, we're talking about 4 awesome leaders in this particular slide, all right? Now remember, you know, Abraham Lincoln, as he sits in this first slide right here, and y'all can see Mr. Abraham sitting in that first slide. Great leaders are teachers, you know, not truants. They help their followers see and understand more. They inspire them to become more and motivate them to do more. So, as Mr. Abe says, we're inspiring you to do more and motivating you to do even more, all right? To become more and to do more, all right? When we look over at Mr. Kennedy, President Kennedy, all right? Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. And that's a very popular statement right there, January 20th, 1961, during, you know, I guess he was stating to the world. And that particular statement came out, and it has resonated over the years. Very good one right there. We have Mr. Colin Powell down at the bottom right of the, almost always great simplifiers who can cut through argument, debate, and doubt to offer a solution everyone can understand. Would you agree with that? You know, I would definitely agree with that statement right there. And then last one, there's Mother Teresa again. It is not the position that makes the leader, but the leader who makes the position. And I love that statement right there. That is a very essential, and I mean all of these are very essential, but this one I really, really love. You know, it's not the position you're in, all right, but it's how you make the position you're in through using your intelligence, all right, using what you've developed, wisdom that you've gained over the years. And yes, you're gaining wisdom right now. We're gaining wisdom, you know, in our downtime. So, you know, those are things that we wanted to share on this, you know, on this morning. What is a leader? All right. Answer that question while you're sitting there in your downtime again. And you can go back through this presentation over and over and over again to develop what a leader is. Where can leaders, you know, where can leaders be found? All right. And again, the answer, as you would go back through, you find the answer. What is a follower? And what are some good traits of a leader? All great questions that I believe that you are quite capable of answering. All right. Now listen, you're in some downtime, you know, go back through these slides, watch them over and over and over again so that you can be a great leader just like we have before us. This has certainly been a presentation of Newton County Sheriff's Office, committed to excellence, Sheriff Ezell Brown, and again, our CHAMPS instructors, Deputy Edwards, Deputy Gregg, you know, myself. We always appreciate you allowing us to come into your home, and we thank you so much. We thank you, and have a good day.